Welcome. Thank you for being here tonight.
Hey.
I'm Dr. Rusty Barrier.
And I'm Dr. Tricia Seymour, and this is Intellikia Center. And tonight's topic is karma and karmic contracts.
Or how my karma got run over by my dogma, or dogma got run over by karma, however you want to put it.
Ha 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 ha. So as we you want to do the centering?
We'll do a little centering here. I think we need it tonight.
So we're going to do a little centering to start.
Now, put your feet on the floor. Close your eyes. Take a deep, deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And again, take a deep breath. And this time, as you exhale, feel all the stress and tension flowing out of your body. Just letting go and relaxing. Continuing to breathe. And in your mind's eye, I want you to imagine that you're stepping into a temple. And in the center of this temple is an altar. And on that altar is a golden flame. And see yourself as you walk now towards this. Continuing to breathe, relaxing, letting go. And just allow yourself now to dissolve into the flame on the altar, becoming one with the flame. And breathe. And now feel yourself re-emerging from the flame back before the altar, thanking it for the experience, turning around, leaving the temple, coming back to this place here and now. Wiggle your fingers and toes, take one more deep breath, and allow your eyes to open. Welcome back. And welcome to karma.
So as we do at the beginning of each of these, just briefly understand that our goal is not to teach you about what tradition in metaphysics teaches about karma or what tradition in any path teaches about karma. Is to make you think outside the box, to assist you in moving beyond what you've been taught in the basics.
In fact, we'd like you to forget there is a box altogether.
But with that said, the traditional picture of karma, it comes from, again, Hinduism, one of the older religions. I'm sure it may even come before that. But karma is the concept that, in traditional belief, is the concept that I did something wrong or right in a past life, therefore I either have a easy or hard life this time. Or I stole $1,000 from you in this lifetime, so in another lifetime I'm going to have to pay it back to you or someone else. Or lose it even.
Right.
And so karmic contracts are that. They say that I did something right or wrong in my lifetime and I have a contract to come back and make it right the next time. And so they kind of go together. So we're not talking about just general contracts, which is like another topic. We're talking specifically all related to karma. Karma is a concept of punishment and reward.
And because we are psychotherapists, we've got the doctorates in psychology, all of that, we're very familiar with a thing called Kohlberg's Moral Development Scale. And Kohlberg Moral Development Scale. And what he said, and it's actually a spiral, or it's a circle. It's not a levels. And at the very first level, and this is looking at humanity in the illusion right now, all right? Look at a small child. They're either going to do something or not do something because they either are getting punished or rewarded for it, aren't they? Hopefully, we grow beyond that. And actually, the very first level is we don't do something because we're getting punished. Then after that, we discover if we get rewarded, it's another level of or another part of moral development.
But it's all around the concept of punishment and reward. Punishment and reward. And it's all around the concept of outside of you. Somebody or something outside of you is making a decision about whether what you did was good or bad, and something outside of you is going to punish or reward you for what you did.
It's a very external focus, right? As you become more and more internal, suddenly you really don't care about the reward or the punishment. It's what I said earlier. I'm not going to harm you because I understand it's harming me. It's not about reward or punishment.
And that's considered an internal locus of control in psychology. And that means that your desires, what you want to do, are internal and inside you, and you make that decision internally rather than whether or not somebody's going to catch you.
Yeah. You don't, in this case, at that level, you don't steal from someone else, not because it's wrong or because you might get caught or anything else. You don't steal from someone else because you don't like how you feel when you do it.
And you realize that.
And you realize it's still you.
It's still you, that you're stealing from yourself. So what would be the point, right? It's not about I'm going to incur some wrath of some God somewhere and have to pay it back in some other lifetime. So one of the things that, if you have children or been around children, is children ask one question a lot. And that question is, why? Why?
Why is the sky blue? Well, it's because there's water molecules and the light refracts. Why?
But why?
God made it that way. Why?
Because I said so.
Right? Why is an endless loop? It is never the question to ask.
But our egos ask that question all the time. Why did this happen to me? Why did I have this car accident? Why did I lose this money? Why did I take this crappy job? Why did I have this relationship? Why was I in this abusive situation? Why? Remember
what are you trying to accomplish with that?
Remember we talk about levels in the game. So the levels in the game where most people play are kindergarten. Are why? Well, because of karma. Well, why? Because of your past lives, because you did something wrong. Well, why? I gave this example before. I had someone who I was talking to who believed in all of this, who had been in a car accident and was now a paraplegic. They cannot walk. They are in a wheelchair the rest of their life.
She was 16 when it happened.
She looked at me and said, "It's my karma. I must have been really bad in a past life, so I'm paying penance in this life by having no legs at work." Could you tell a child who's being abused it's their karma?
And that they chose it?
We tell adults that now, don't we? We go, oh, I had an abusive life. Oh, well, that was because of your past life, or that's what you picked in this lifetime, or you selected those terrible, awful parents, or, we say that to adults, and we expect them to swallow it. Would you say that to a 5-year-old? Would you look at a 5-year-old who's in the middle of being abused and go, well, you picked that. You picked your parents. You picked that from your past life. It's because you did some bad things. You're just paying for it. Would you tell a 5-year-old that? I sure the heck hope not.
And now remember, when you're talking to that 35, 45, 55-year-old, you're still talking to a 5-year-old child. We just get bigger bodies. At an emotional level, we still react and
we
still
have our
function
inner child
as inner children.
Right? So Another subject about no victims, but I'm going to use the word just for right now.
By the way, this is where we got really lost.
And the conversation is, back in the day, a woman might walk down the street in down an alleyway in a short skirt, and she gets raped. And the men or other women look at her and say, "That's your fault.
You shouldn't have worn that skirt.
You shouldn't have been in that alley. You shouldn't have been by yourself. You brought that on. That's your fault."
That's called blaming the victim, by the way.
In modern society, I hope we've evolved a little bit beyond that, and we aren't going to say to the young lady, "You can't wear a fashionable short skirt and walk down an alleyway." You might say that might not be the safest thing in the world, but it might not be the smartest thing, but it's not your fault that someone raped you.
It's not your fault that someone wanted to take power over you.
And those that buy into the concept 100% of karma believe you brought it on. And it must have been from something you did in a past life. You're paying your penance. And it ends up being a very negative loop. As a psychotherapist, I see people on a daily basis who are dealing with depression because they believe that they brought everything on themselves through their mindset. I must have had a negative thought, therefore I had a car accident. I must have not been a good person in a past life, therefore I had really crappy parents. I must not. You hear that? Does that even sound loving? That sounds awful. I don't know about you, but I don't want to live in a world like that. That sounds terrible. So the concept of karma comes out of this external punishment.
Right. And it also actually comes from cause and effect. And at its actual best, karma really is cause and effect. If I put my hand on a hot stove, my hand's going to burn. Right? Now, did I do something 1,000 years ago to deserve that? No, it's just cause and effect. All right?
No, right here, right now, you just made a dumb choice.
I did. At least it was only my hand. And it wasn't very long. But that's it. Karma is truly just cause and effect in this realm. It's not across all time, space, and dimension. It's right here, right now, cause and effect. The minute you touch oneness, and please hear me, the minute you touch oneness, you have moved beyond karma. Because you understand in oneness there is no karma, there's nothing, absolutely nothing you could do here or not do here that makes the slightest difference in oneness, because this is not real there. Now, that's not giving you carte blanche to go become the next mass murderer, all right? Hopefully, looking at this group, we're all a little beyond that desire at this point. Okay?
No, but I think that's what happens. So I think people are like, well, then why do bad things happen? Well, they just do. Our ego wants to have a reason.
Just keep going.
Our ego wants to have a reason. We like to know why, right? That child question. Our ego is just a little child, and it wants to have answers. And sometimes there aren't any. Sometimes bad things just happen. Sometimes a rose is just a rose. I just happen to be not paying attention and I hit somebody on the way here. Not really, but I rear-ended somebody on the way here because I was looking at my cell phone. Or somebody rear-ended you or flipped you off because they were looking at their cell phone, right? I mean, it really isn't because you had the wrong mindset. You didn't attract it to yourself. It just is. And stuff happens, good and bad. We just label it good and bad because it felt good or didn't. We liked it or didn't. It was experience we want to have more of or we never want to have again. And so we label it inside the game of the duality as good and bad. You're playing that video game, right? And I get shot and I only have so many lives or whatever, and I don't want that to happen again. So the next time I pass that area, I do it a little differently, right? So you learn. You learn from your experiences, hopefully, that we all learn from our experiences. But it's different than karma. Oh, am I supposed to keep going?
I don't know. I'm looking at the fact that we kind of jumped ahead a little bit, but
yes, you did.
that's just me. Because you want to get into karmic contracts.
Well, I think that's
You
what
wouldn't
that
get a
is.
few.
Yeah, right. I don't know things. So again, is there, when somebody does something we would say is bad or awful or terrible, like a mass murderer or someone who just goes and shoots up a place or, you know, harms a child, we would say that's bad. We would say we don't want that to happen to us or anybody else. And I look at those people as just being unconscious. They are unconscious that what they're doing is harming themselves because we're one. They're unconscious that you and I are really connected. They're unconscious to what we're talking about here.
Just as cold is measured as in the absence of heat, right? So
Which we're all feeling right now, I think.
I'm not. Is evil is measured as the absence of consciousness or love. That's all it is. And if you look at it, when you look at things that we're terming those things and recognizing all I have to do in this situation is bring my consciousness of love to it, it will shift. That's it. If I fight against it, there's another term in metaphysics, or a statement in metaphysics that actually is pretty valid. Where attention goes, consciousness flows. We've all heard that. We've all heard it till we're blue in the face, but we have forgotten what it actually means. If my entire focus and is, I'm thinking of someone in particular that we talked to the other day, is casting out demons. Guess what? They're going to have more demons in their life than they can shake a stick at because their focus is that's what they do with them. If their focus shifted to, I'm simply looking for love in places that it hasn't been seen before, what are they going to see? They're going to see love. We talked about this in other classes. You can stand, you can walk around outside with your head down looking at the ground and see nothing but cigarette butts, trash, plastic bottles, whatever. Or you can walk around, look at the ground, you can see flowers, you can see grass, you can see beauty. Heck, you might even find a dollar bill there. Right? But it's what you're looking for that makes the difference in this. So when we're talking about karma, which is really what we're talking about at the moment, and karmic contracts, what are you looking for? This is why I said early on with reincarnation when we talked about that. The only reason I can see for going back on past life regression is to figure out what mastery you can bring forward to this time. That's it. Who you were is of no value.
So if I can't ask why, what can I ask?
What?
What? As in what? So why did this happen to me? What would I say instead?
What caused this?
Or how about what can I gain from it?
Yeah. What can I learn?
Experience.
What is my part in it?
What was my part in it?
What role is my role?
Right. We were both previously married before we met each other, and divorced. And I think, as you do, my ex is a great guy.
Well, mine was a great girl.
A great girl. They're great people. So our exes were great people. Absolutely nothing wrong with them whatsoever. Just not a match.
Mm-mm.
Not on the same path. Not on the same road. I wish them all the best. I have no hard feelings for them. They get to play out whatever they want to play out in their life and have whatever experiences they want to have in their experiences. I choose not to be a part of them. They're not where I'm headed. So that goes to, if I can do that, then, and I can truly say that to them, then I move to a place of, I don't need to forgive them for anything. I just need to learn for myself. What did I need to get out of that, and now how can I apply that as I move through those levels of the game? How can I apply what I've learned as I'm moving to the next level of the game?
The other question that comes up, that is probably the single most valid question you can ask at any moment, at any time, is very simply, how can I see this differently? How can I see this differently? Because 9 times out of 10, the first way you're looking at it is through the eyes of your ego, not the eyes of Source. Okay? Source will always, oneness, soul, whatever words. Words really make no difference in this. the view from that perspective is vastly different than the view from your ego. Okay? How can I see this differently? And the minute you ask that question, you will be shown different ways to see it. And then you have the option, oh, I may still like the one I picked originally from my ego. I'm really glad to be indignant and angry, right? Or we can say, you know, I'd rather have peace than this. I'd rather feel peace than what I'm feeling. So, oh, peace. Oh, that says that the guy that cut me off, that I was telling him he had the IQ of 1 as he drove in front of me. Really didn't even know I was there. So all me being upset and irritated at them is me being upset and irritated.
We know most things
You're just
are
going down the road. Okay, I can let it go.
right, and most things that people are reacting from their own life experiences and their unawareness.
Right.
So they're reacting from their childhood or their life or whatever. It really isn't. I can tell you the majority of the time it's not about you. It's about them. It's something going on
Very
inside
seldom
of them.
about you.
It's conflict inside of them. It's the need to be in control inside of them. It really isn't about you.
Doesn't
And
matter.
then you can choose whether or not you stay in that game, in that part of the game, or whether you move on and go to some other level of the game.
Is there ever a time that it's not 100% my responsibility?
What happens to you?
Yeah, like my perspective.
Oh, your perspective is always
Responsibility.
100% your responsibility. What happened, the actual event, not so much. Okay? If I'm standing on the, I already see the conflict in here, but if I'm standing on the curb and someone walks by and splashes a water puddle on me, I have no responsibility for being splashed, other than I was standing on the curb at that moment. Okay? I do, however, have 100% responsibility and accountability for what I do with having been soaked when he or she drove by. Right? So it's my responsibility. Am I getting angry? Am I laughing? Am I crying? What is it that I'm moving into? That's where your responsibility is. You're not out there.
And not what actually happens. I think what happened in getting back to the topic of karma.
I'm sorry, shit happens.
Right. Getting back to the topic of karma, I think what people do is we want to know why. Our little brain wants an answer. You know, why did this bad thing happen to me? And we either want to say it's their fault, or we want to say, in essence, it's karmic and therefore it's my fault. I brought it on, I did it, I thought it, I had the negative thoughts, whatever. And I think it's that whole blame game that gets things all murky. Were you gonna say something?
Mm-hmm. Why did this happen to me? Who did it happen to?
Me.
No.
Ego.
Yes.
Me, ego.
Ego's reacting.
Me, ego.
Right? In Source, it never really even happened. Didn't happen. There's nothing to happen. There's no one for it to happen to. I know that's a mind mess, but it's what it is.
And again, for us, we really do like things in neat little boxes. I know I do. I like things in neat little boxes. So I want to know if this happened, then this is why. And I won't do that again, so that won't happen again, right? I want to have these neat little boxes. Sometimes crap just happens.
And what if the only reason any of us appear to be here is just to experience it, just for whatever experiences come along?
And that's another one we aren't going to talk about. This is not Earth School. You are Source.
You know
are
it
the all that is. You already know and have experienced everything. I will say that again. You already know and have experienced everything throughout all of time. There aren't lessons. You are not in school.
And I will give you a personal example of this. One you already heard. I went back to Source very, very young. All right. What I figured out from that, because that was even before I started school, is that I could use that same trick, go up, get information, and come back.
You cheated in school?
Honey, I didn't make it. less than an A until I got into high school. And I wouldn't have made less than an A there, except, and you will love this, my French teacher at one school was from South Texas and didn't know French, so we were all learning it together. My French teacher at the other school that I moved to was from France, and they were so far ahead I could never catch up, and I made a B.
How terrible.
It was. It's the first one. But that's because, and I did all the way through grad school. You know, I had people who were very angry at me because I wouldn't, you look at my textbook. She looked at my textbooks that I kept. All right, all those years later, they'd never even been opened. All right, I didn't crack a book.
And the reason for this is the conversation is going where?
Source.
Where are you going with this conversation?
I would go to source. If I'm stuck on something, I don't let my mind deal with it. I go deep and I go find the
Now, if
answer.
you have kids, they probably need to study for school. That's not saying that you don't have to study, but
Depends on the kid. But you do the same thing.
well, and I think that's it. And again, when you're connected to oneness, you realize that this isn't really school. This is
Right.
just a game. This is a video game. So games are supposed to be fun. Now they can be intense at times, don't get me wrong. So they can be intense and there can be intense emotions and intense things happening. But to say that this is it, this is all there is, to say that this is all that important, that if you make a mistake in this lifetime, you're going to have to come back, right? If I make a mistake in this lifetime, I'm going to have to pay for it.
Or worse,
in
if
another
I make a
lifetime.
mistake in this lifetime, I burn in hell for all eternity.
Right.
All
There
right.
are people who believe
Which,
that.
by the way, karma is a step up from that one as far as I'm concerned.
Is very limited. It's very young. It's a very young belief. Now, again, as we have said in every one of these talks, it is fun to think about past lives and reincarnation. It's fun to think about who you were or what you did or what you didn't do. It can be fun to go, oh, this is Earth School and I'm learning lessons. Whatever makes it enjoyable for you.
Just remember
Those
you're
are
making
just
it all
words.
up. Every bit of it. You're making it
Right.
all up.
Multi-dimension, sure, why not? If that's what you want in your game, go for it.
Right.
ETs, sure, why not? Right? Chatting with angels, sure, why not? Hearing from archangels, I got symbols from Archangel Raziel, why not? Right? You can, I'm not special, we're all one. So it really is about how do you look at life differently? How do you go, well, I thought these bad things happened to me in my life because I must have done something really bad in a previous life.
I must have deserved it.
I must have deserved it. That's a pretty pathetic blanket answer, like, we don't have kids, so I'll say that first. Like, why is the sky blah blah? Because I said it does.
Oh, that was my dad. Because.
Because
That was
I
his
said it
final
does.
answer on everything. Because.
So again, you're welcome to believe in whatever you want. You're welcome to see the world from whatever level of the game. And one of the things, as you said with your quote, is that when you master the game, you can go up and down. You can play at level 1. We can talk about, in a talk like this, about karma and reincarnation, about contracts, about past lives, about multi-dimensions, about ETs, about spirit guides, about, whatever.
And at any given moment, we may dive into the game and play with them again.
Because we can.
Because it's something to do.
But
Okay.
as you continue moving through the levels, you realize there's something else. There's something more. And that's what we're trying to encourage you to do, is what is the more. So even in our marketing, about this talk, the conversation was, what if everything that you've learned doesn't work anymore? I know a lot of people who've used, I'm sure we'll have this as another topic, affirmations and positive thinking, and it used to work, and now it doesn't. And how do you go, what's on the next level? How do you move to the next level? How do you make that happen?
Or it seems to work for everybody else, but not you.
But not me. And so, I guess it's your karma. It's probably your karma. You
I
must
think
have
I'll
been really
reincarnate
bad
and try that
in some
again.
past life. Right. So anyway, so that's kind of it. So again, if you're not an individuated soul being reincarnated over and over again, then how can you have karma? How is it even possible? The only way karma works is if my one soul comes back into a body, exactly this one soul. If this one soul's not coming back exactly to the next body in the next lifetime, then how do I have karma? Am I gonna have karma from every soul? Wait, what? You know, am I gonna have karma from like the vast consciousness? What? There is none. So it is kind of a combination of seeing life from that different perspective.
You want to wrap up now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, again, we're going to take a slight pause. Thank you for
2
being here.
seconds.
Then we're going to turn the video back on, and it's time for Q&A, and you can ask anything over
on
these
any
two
subject,
topics.
right? This will be like 2 seconds, so this won't be long.